Hello guys. Today we'll talk about functions in Rust programming language, how to create user-defined functions, how to define them, and how to call in the main functions. Okay. So from the definition, we know what are functions. Actually, they are a piece of reusable code that performs certain tasks or any action. Why we create functions when we want to perform a simple action again and again, and the code is same. So we don't need to write the same code again and again. Okay, we will simply create function of that code, and we will call the function by its name, and that will be like reusability of code. Okay, so in Rust programming language, how to define function? Let's start with a simple program. So let's create a package first. So cargo new, and name of my package is functions. Okay, let's go to stack directory. Okay, and let's go to its main file. Okay, so let's start with a simple program how to create a user defined function. So before how to start, we always start with the keyword fn, because whenever we write the main function we always write fn main. So fn is a keyword, and now we have to write the name of our user defined function. Let's start. Let's suppose I write here check. Okay, so this is the name of my function, and in this body we have to define our function. As a simple program, let's start with print function, print ln, and I write here hello world. Okay, so I've defined my function as I have to print hello world. Okay, now I have to call this function. So I have to call this function in the main function, and in the main function I will simply write the name of my function, and I will just add the semicolon. So this is actually the definition. Okay, these three lines, and in this main function I have called my user defined function check, and now let's run this. Oh, sorry, cargo run, and hello world has been printed. Okay, so in this way we can define a function and call it. Okay, this was a simple program. Now before proceeding further deep into this function topic, let's move towards a new topic that is very much related with functions and the other topics afterwards, that is expressions and statement in Rust programming language. Okay, you all have studied these both topics in other languages also. So what are actually expressions and statements are? Let's write a program, or simply let's say let x is equals to 6. So when I write this line let x is equal to 6, I will call this line as a statement. Why I'm calling this statement? Because the definition of a statement is those piece of code which does not return any value. Now in this, it does not returning any value. It's actually binding 6 to x. Okay, it's assigning value 6 to x. It will not return. It is not returning anything to the program. Okay, so this is a statement. The definition of a statement is any piece of code which does not return anything is actually a statement. Okay, so we can say that it's a statement. So that's a statement. Okay, now what are expressions? uh, when we write, or suppose, okay, let's write let y is equals to let x is equals to 6. Okay, now this let x is equal to 6 is a statement, and it's not returning anything, and we are assigning it to, we are binding this value to y. Okay, now let's print this function. If I use print function, and okay, I want to print y. Okay, now here no value has been returned by this line. So what should the value should be assigned to y? Okay, so let's see. So when we write here cargo run, so there is an error that is expected expression found statement. Now here we expect expression. So what's the definition of expression is that piece of code which returns something. Obviously, if there's an expression over here, it will return something, and that return value will be binded to y. But here it's a statement, so it is not returning anything. So which value should be binded to y? Okay, so that's the error. That is expected expression but found statement. Okay, so this is actually a statement. Okay, so nothing can be nothing is returned, so that's why nothing, no value can be binded to y. Now what are expression? Expression are piece of code which returns some value. Now when we call a function, that's expression. When we call a macro, that's expression. And we when we write a block in a pieces of parenthesis, like in this parenthesis, so whatever the things that is written in between these two parentheses is actually a expression that will return something. Okay, let's see. First suppose I write here let y is equals to, okay, let y is equals to, and then first suppose here I write let x is equals to 6. Okay, and over here I write x plus 1, and here I write print ln and y. Okay, let's compile this program first. Got a value 7. Okay, so now this complete from the starting here let till this semicolon. It's a statement. Okay, it's not returning anything from let to the this till this semicolon, but in between these two parentheses are actually uh, in between this code is an expression. In between these parentheses, these two lines are expression because they are returning something. Okay, this x plus 1 is returning something, that is 7. We have binded value x to 6, we have binded 6 to x. Okay, and then we have incremented x by 1. Over here it is returning something. This is a statement. Okay, but this is over here, this is expression. Expression are those pieces of code which return some value. Okay, so this is returning 7, then 7 is binded to y, this 7 is binded to y, and then we are printing y. Now here another concept is, if we add semicolon after any code, that's become statement. Okay, so any expression if we can be met to can be converted to statement by adding a semicolon. If we add here semicolon, and when we run this program again, so an error will be generated. Okay, so we have to remove this semicolon, so this will become again expression, this will return 7, and 7 will be printed here. So this was the concept of expression and statement in functions. Okay, statement, a piece of code that does not return any value. Expression, a piece of code that returns some value. Let's move back to our function topic. Okay, now we started with the simple program of function. Let's move toward when we want to add some parameters and functions. Okay, first suppose I write, okay, I'm writing the same name check, and now I want to add the parameter in the definition. Now how to add the parameter? There's a difference in writing a parameter in functions in REST programming language. So how can we write the parameter? We have to first write the name of the variable. That first suppose I call that variable as number, and after that I have to add this colon, and then I have to write the data literal of whatever the parameter is. If the parameter is integer, I will write i64 or u64, anything. If it's a float, then I will write f64. If it's a character, then I have to write char. if it's a string, then I have to write and str. Okay, so over here I've written numbers, so I have to write the data literal. For suppose I write I64. Okay, now okay, so now let's write. For suppose I want to write here let x is equals to number star multiplication. Okay, so this number, whatever the parameter is, that will be multiplied by 10 and that will get binded to x. Okay, and then I have to print this, print ln, and I'm printing value x. Okay, and so this was my user defined function, and now I have to create my main function. Okay, now in the main function I have to simply call this my user defined function, but in that I have to write the value of my parameter. Okay, over here I have written the data literal I64. That means I have to add the integer. I have to pass the integer value to my function. Now for suppose I have passed my value 5 over here. Let's see what's the answer. uh, So answer is 50. Actually 5 getting multiplied by 10 and it's getting binded to x, and we are printing x, so that's actually 50. Okay, now for suppose I write here character A. Okay, for suppose let's run this program. So I'm getting error, that is expected I64 found character, because I've given here data literal I64 and I'm here passing value of I'm passing a character over here, so that's generated an error. Okay, so whatever the value you want to pass, you can write any name to the variable of the parameter, but you have to write the corresponding data literal whatever the value you want to pass. If you want to pass a character, so you have to write here char, so that's become data literal of character. So simply if you want to let's so if I write a number. Okay, if I write a number, and now let's print it. So a will be printed. Okay, so here we have passed a and we have changed our data literal to character, so a has been printed. So whatever the value you want to pass, you have to add the same data literal in the parameter braces. If you want to add multiple parameter, you can simply write, you add comma and then you write the name of other parameter. For suppose you write name over here, then the colon, and then for suppose you write here and str. Now this data literal is for string. Okay, so for suppose you want to add a string, so you will simply write here. Okay, and in this you have to also give two values. You have to pass two values to your when you call the function. Or suppose you are passing hello. Okay, so one is character and other is string, so one I have passed a and other is hello. Let's print this. Okay, so we are getting a and then hello. So this is the way in which you can pass parameters to your function. Now the last thing in function is returning values from the function. How to return values from your function, that can be used when you call, that can be used in the main function when you call that function. Okay, how to return values. For suppose Let's create, okay, fn check, and over here I'm passing one parameter, that is number, and I write here I64. Okay, so now what's the symbol, or how to return a value from your function? So you have to simply write here, you have to add a hyphen and then this arrow, and then you have to write whatever the value you want to return. If it's an integer, you will write here the data that's corresponding data literal. If it's an integer, then you write here I64, or you anything you want to, and then if it's a character, you write here char. If it's a float, then you write here f64. So corresponding data literal you will add here. First of all, I want to return an integer value, so I will write here I64. Okay, so this is the only difference between when we want to return a value. We simply add this hyphen and then this arrow and then the data literal we want to return. For suppose over here I say uh, number star 12. Okay, so here the concept of statement and expressions come. I said when we add a colon, when we add a semicolon, we actually convert an expression into a statement. Okay, till now this is an expression because it is between the uh, brackets. Okay, so if it's between the bracket, it will return something. Okay, so this number star 12 will actually return us for sub. Okay, let's, okay, so this will actually return as whatever the number we will pass here, it will get multiplied by 12 and will return by the function. Okay, so that will we use in the main function. Okay, but if I had add a semicolon, so now this will not return anything because now this will become an statement. Okay, when we add semicolon, this will become a statement. Okay, and it will not return anything. So we have to simply remove this semicolon, so this will now become an expression. Okay, and it will return something. Now simply I have to write the main function. In the main function I have to like bind the return value to another variable. Let's suppose I write right here, let y is equals to uh, let y is equals to, and I have to call this function check, and I have to I have to pass an integer value. For suppose I pass here 5 and I add the semicolon. What's going on here? When I call check 5, actually 5 is passed to this number. Okay, because it is I64, I have to pass the integer value. When 5 is passed, 5 will get multiplied by 12. This will become 60. 60 will be returned because I have added here this I64. So 60 will get returned by this check function. So this check function will return whatever the value it will return, it will get binded to y. So this y function will get the value from this check function, and when we print this, print ln, okay, so when we print this y, we'll get the value 60. Are you sure? Let's run this. Yeah, we are getting 60 as our answer. Now what I said, if I add semicolon over here, now this will become statement. Okay, this is not now an expression. Okay, so this will not return anything right now to us. So when we compile this, the error comes, that is this function body doesn't return anything, consider remove this semicolon. So they are saying that the function body is not returning anything. So what value should we bind to y, because this is not returning anything, because we have added semicolon, this thing has become statement. So we have to remove this. Now this is an expression. So this expression will return a number multiplied by 12, that is 60, and the 60 will get binded to y, and when we print this y, we'll get the answer. So this is actually all about functions, how to define it, how to call them, how to add parameters, how to return values from functions, what are statement and expressions. Statement are basically those piece of code which does not return anything, and expression which return values. Okay, so that's all about from functions. Thank you.